Hey everyone, Justin with AmericanMuscle.com here, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the C&L slotted and drilled rear rotors and pads available for your 2015 and newer standard EcoBoost or V6 Mustang at home. Now, you should be checking out the C&L setup if you're looking for an affordable rear brake upgrade for that S550 that will also look good behind your favorite set of wheels. So again, this is a great low buck option for all you S550 EcoBoost and V6 owners out there looking to make a subtle upgrade for the rear brakes, and would also make a great complement to either a matching set of C&L front rotors, or perhaps you've added a different set of aftermarket front brakes. Now, the slotted and drilled design on the rotors here is in place to A, help keep the rotor surface clean during braking, and B, maybe most importantly, help keep those temperatures down to help prevent brake fade. And as an added bonus, they do offer a nice visual upgrade behind your favorite set of stock or aftermarket wheels. Well, let's dive a little bit deeper with the construction of the C&L kit, and the rotors themselves are going to start off as a G3000 grade cast iron blank. Now from there, the rotors get that slotted and drilled treatment we just talked about using precision machine rounded slots and beveled holes. And then the entire rotor, as you can see here guys, finished off in that silver zinc plating. And that's gonna help prevent any corrosion or rust on your non-friction related surfaces. Now this kit does also include a set of pads for the rear end here. That material in the pad is going to incorporate a ceramic metallic material. That's going to be a bit more aggressive than the stock pad, but not nearly as aggressive as some other aftermarket pads that utilize a carbon infused material. So therefore, with the C&L kit, I would certainly expect very low dust, very low noise overall. Now, price point for the C&L setup here, low $100 range, maybe a little bit more expensive than some generic parts store blanks, but on the flip side, certainly more affordable than some other options you might encounter here on the site from companies like PowerStop or SP Performance. But now we do want to segue into the installation, and site's going to call this one a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Maybe 2 hours or so at max to complete from start to finish. But now we're gonna head out to the shop, give you our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown. Check it out.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 14mm socket, an 18mm socket, a caliper piston compression tool, some brake clean, and a soft cloth.
Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of pads and rotors on the rear of our Mustang, so let's get started with the uninstall first.
Once you've got your vehicle properly supported either on a lift or on a set of jack stands and your wheel removed, now we can go ahead and remove our caliper mounting bracket and caliper using the 2 18mm bolts that are behind it. That'll give us the ability to go ahead and remove our rotor. So let's go ahead and get those bolts off. So we'll go ahead and take off the lower one first. Now it's pretty difficult to get the camera in here because of everything else that's attached to the vehicle, but there's only 2 18mm bolts behind this caliper here. So once you find out where the other one is at the top, you can just go ahead and take that one out. And once you get the bolt mostly all the way out, you can go ahead and support the caliper with your hand while you finish removing it. Then you can slide the caliper off of the rotor. And then you want to use something like this hook that we have here to go ahead and support the caliper to take the stress off of the brake lines. And once you've got that supported, you can go ahead and just pull the rotor right off the vehicle. Now before we actually install the rotor and the caliper back onto the vehicle, you're going to want to clean the surfaces of the rotor itself to make sure that there's no manufacturing oils or residue from processing it, or make sure anything that was possibly gotten on it while it was shipped is removed from there so your brakes will work properly. Now we're installing the rotor backwards right now just to hold it and give us some support. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of brake cleaner spray the surfaces, and then use a clean cloth to make sure that we wipe it all down. So once you've got it sprayed down, just go ahead and wipe it clean. Make sure it's clean. Now we'll go ahead and flip it around the correct way and clean the other side. Now to install our new pads, what we're going to have to do is remove one of these bolts that holds the caliper mounting bracket to the caliper and loosen up the other one. That way we can swing our pads away from the caliper and get them out of the way. And then we can also compress the piston in the caliper to make sure that there's enough room for the new thickness of the pads and the new thickness of the rotor. So let's go ahead and take these off using our 14mm socket. So we'll remove the one bolt, and as you can see, once you do that, the caliper mounting bracket with the pads installed swings away from the caliper. Now all we have to do is slide our pads out of the caliper, like so, and then remove the anti-rattle clips as well, because we do have some new ones that are provided in the kit. Now, like we said, our new pads and our new rotor are going to be thicker because they have no wear on them than what you're taking off of here. So what we're going to have to do is compress the piston inside the caliper so that we can fit the new pads over the new rotor. To do that, on the Mustangs, you're going to need a special tool like this, because this is a screw-in type piston. And the way this works, and you can pick this up probably to rent at most auto parts stores. So the way it works is you've got a plate here, and that's going to go up against the outside edge of your caliper. So it's just going to slip over the end of the tool like this, and then it's got a ring with a couple of pins on it, and they're going to fit inside the slots on the piston. So we're just going to put that on the two pins on the tool, like so. And once you've got this on the tool, you're going to put these two pins that are on the disc inside the slots on the piston, with the plate going towards the outside of the caliper. And once you've got that into position, then we're just going to twist the fitting until it's snug. Now you want that disc to be pretty centered on the piston itself. And then once you've got that snugged up, then you just go ahead and twist the end of the tool to push that piston in as far as it'll go. Once it's in, you go ahead and unscrew the plate and you can remove the tool. Now we can go ahead and install the pads into the caliper so we can go ahead and slide it back into place. Now we can go ahead and install our new anti-rattle clips back into the caliper simply by placing it into the slot and snapping it into place. And once you've got one of them done, we can go ahead and do the other one as well. Now you don't have to worry about orientation because it's only going to fit in there one way. Now, once you've got those in place, what you're going to need to do is use some of the supplied lube that comes with the brake pads, and you're going to want to put some on the back side of it here. So you put some lube. Now, it doesn't take a whole lot either, so just put some on the back side here, and then you'll also want to put some on the very ends of the pads on these tabs so that when it goes inside the rattle clips, it'll move across nice and easy. Now, because we're not doing this as a permanent fix to our vehicle, we're not actually going to put this on right now, but that's how you would do it. Just slide it, smear it on the back side and on the ends of the pads. making sure not to get any on the actual pad material themselves. Now that we've got our pads all lubricated, we go ahead and slide those back into our caliper. Like so. And now we can go ahead and close our caliper back up and place it over our new rotor. So we'll just remove our hanging tool, close up our caliper, reinstall the slide bolt that we took out earlier. Now you want to make sure that your pads are spread as far apart as you can inside the caliper. So that it will slide over the rotor. And we just go ahead and slide that on. And now we can reattach our caliper mounting bracket using the original hardware. And now we'll go ahead and tighten up our mounting brackets using our 18mm socket. And now we'll tighten up our 2 bolts for our caliper using our 14mm socket. And now you can repeat this whole process for the other side. And remember, as always, after you get everything snugged up, make sure you torque everything back down to factory recommended specifications. And that wraps up our review and install of the C&L Super Sport cross-drilled and slotted brake rotor and pad kit for the rear on a 15 and newer Mustang Standard EcoBoost and V6. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.